but I never liked any of the Tarzan movies. My own imagined picture of Tarzan was more wonderful than any actor could possibly be. Those animals seemed wonderful to me, but I knew that there was no way I could go and see them. Not then. There was not even a zoo anywhere near us. And anyway, I wanted to watch wild animals, not animals in cages, so as well as reading about those faraway, faraway animals. I also watched the wild creatures near my home, squirrels and birds, and all kinds of insects. I started a nature club with four members, my sister and me, and the Carey children, who came to stay almost every holiday. Sally was my age. She was Judy's age. I was a, I was the leader of the club, the Alligator Club, and choose choose to be Red Admiral. Sally was Puffin, Sue was Ladybird, and Judy was Trot. In a hidden place in the garden surrounded by bushes, we had our camp where we could light a little fire and boil water in a tin can balanced on rocks. In an old truck, we kept four mugs, small supplies of tea and cocoa, and a spoon. Sometimes we had feasts there with beets and pieces of food saved from meals. As it was wartime, we usually had nothing more than a few crusts of bread and an occasional biscuit, but it was fun, especially when we creeped out into the garden at midnight, which we did partly because it was spooky and partly because it was strictly not allowed. We went on lots of nature walks and wrote down what we saw, at least I did. There were names of the different insects or birds we found. Each of us owned two racing snails with numbers painted on their shells. We kept them in an old wooden box with no bottom and a piece of glass on the top. This meant that we could move their home to a new place in the garden each time they had finished eating the leaves growing inside. We also feed them let- lettuce leaves and other treats. We would line the snails up in a row and lay bets as to which would reach the end of the 6-foot racetrack first. We used blades of grass to keep them in a straight line, but the blades had to be soft, and we could touch only the side of the snail's horn, not a sensitive end where the eye is located. One summer, we made a museum in a glass conservatory. Factory. We had a collection of pressed flowers and many shells, not only the local kinds from the Barnemouth, Barnemouth beach, but exotic ones collected by my adventurous great grandfather. during his travels to Australia and such places. Everything was very carefully labeled. Uncle Eric let us have a human skeleton left over from his medical school days. That was our most prized exhibit. Sally and I made Judy and Sue. We called them the little ones. Go out into the street and ask passersby to come and see the museum afterward. We asked them to make a contribution to a society for the protection of old horses. They were rescued from the butcher and put out to graze and at Cherry Tree Farm. When the Curies went back home at the end of the holidays, I used to put together an Alligator Club magazine. It was filled with nature notes, drawings of insects, anatomy, and other such things. The other members were supposed to contribute and make comments and suggestions, but they hardly ever did. Every Saturday during term time and at least twice a week over the holidays, I went to a riding school in the country. We couldn't afford to pay for riding lessons every week, but that didn't matter. I just loved to be there, to be near the horses and ponies, to learn how to look after them. The only part I didn't much enjoy was the endless cleaning of the tack, the saddles and brides. Every single day they had to be washed, then rubbed with saddle soup. Miss Bush, who owned the riding stable, was really strict about cleaning the tack, and we had to do it even after the longest days. I was happiest when I was invited during the holidays to stay with Push, Miss Bush's assistant. We would get up before it was light and go down to the warm kitchen where Push's mother, a comfortable scoutswoman, was already beginning work on breakfast. We drank hot tea and munched digestive biscuits. Then we went out into the first light of dawn to catch the ponies from the fields where they grazed during the light. During the night, we rode them bareback with just a halter to the riding stable. Often I had as many as 5 ponies, one on each side of me and two behind on a long rope. Then I would groom them, give each of them a pile of hay, and get the tack ready for the first ride. Eventually, I was trusted to take clients out for rides. I got lots of free riding that way, and when I was 14, I used to ride Push's horse, Quinn's, in horse shows. On those days, I had the thrill of getting up even earlier, grooming Quince until the show until she shone, plaiting her mane and tail oiling her hooves, then traveling with her in the horse trailer. I don't think we ever owned anything, but we sometimes came third or fourth in a jumping, and it was always exciting. Once I went fox hunting, I never thought about what that really meant before. I just imagined the excitement of jumping great hedges, the challenge of trying to keep up with the best riders, and the thrilling sound of the hunting horn. I hadn't thought about the fox